Okay, y'all gonna have to bear with me. Okay. Anyway, let's get started. It's your girl Mariah Sincere, and I am back with another bomb live. Thank y'all for showing up late. I know it's the weekend. Y'all could be anywhere else in the world, but y'all are here with me. Please remember when you come on in to hit the like button. For those of y'all who are returning to my channel, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, I am a life coach who specializes in helping people radically transform their lives. If you are interested in life coaching, hit me up at ThePassportSis.com. My website is in the description box. On this channel, I give social and political commentary. Today, guys, I'm going to let y'all know right now, this conversation is not for the faint at heart. This is going to be a race conversation, but unfortunately, we're going to have to have this conversation. um I don't see the race conversation going away anytime soon, and it's going to be candid. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. um Let me be clear. I am a human being first. Okay. And the blessing of being a racially ambiguous person, and what I mean by that is somebody who you have to ask, what is she, just upon first glance, is that I get to hear what everybody says. Everybody says what they really think in front of me. So people can't come to me and play victim or act like it's just one side and not the other. You know, people can't do that with me because I've heard what everybody has said. Okay. I feel like I'm like an intermediary. So we're going to have a very candid conversation. I'm going to start off by talking about these shenanigans that the Texas Democrats are pulling. So for those of y'all who don't know, I talked about this during my last live. The Texas Democrats broke quorum because Texas planned to redistrict. Okay, Texas was like, hey, we need to be prepared for these 2026 midterms, so we're going to redistrict. And it's not just Texas trying to redistrict. Trump has also proposed that we do a midterm census on the basis that the 2020 census was not correct because illegal immigrants are included on the census. To which I say, yeah, we should absolutely redo the census. The census is very important because it determines the number of representatives we get in the House of Representatives in each state. If you have certain states like California who have overrepresentation because they are counting illegal immigrants, then a correction needs to be made. So I find it quite ironic that Democrats fled the state of Texas because they did not want to be present for the Texas legislature to ultimately redistrict, because that's what they were going to do. And Jasmine Crockett was sure to lose her seat, which I would argue needs to be done. So they fled the state. They're in hiding. In response, the Texas legislature voted for civil arrest for all of them. Greg Abbott called the Texas Rangers on them. So they cannot set foot in Texas. Ken Paxton has filed lawsuits against them. And, they're trying to see how they can potentially remove these rogue Democrats out of office. I'll be honest, I don't know if they'll be able to do this. I don't even know if there's a precedent for this type of behavior, but, they are not stepping foot in Texas. Greg Abbott has said that he will continue to call special sessions with the exact same agenda items, and that they will not be able to come back to the state of Texas till like 2027 or 2028, which could be problematic for some of these senators who own property in the state of Texas. Let's be clear, probably the majority of them do. But with that said, if they have some donors that are pulling the strings behind the scene that are able to sustain them financially, then it's possible that they could hold out that long. I don't know. I feel like it's just a matter of time, but honestly, we've never seen anything like this before, and it's completely ridiculous. Now, I want to also go over a little bit of information before I get into this TikTok that sparked me like arguing online with a whole bunch of black liberals. And I hate to say it that way, but I mean, that was the case. You know, if you are a black person and you have like any type of conservative views, then the entirety of the black community online is going to jump down your throat, and you might get one or two people that will come to your defense. Not that I need it, but I'm just saying. So anyway, let's be clear. I'm going to share this. I got this on Chat GPT. Now, a lot of y'all are probably like, oh my gosh, Chat GPT. Yes, absolutely. Hold on. What happened? Okay, here we go. I love Chat GPT. So I put in like, where are the most gerrymandered states? So I put this in Chat GPT. So this is a summary table. I hope you guys can see it. Okay, I think y'all can see that well. I'm gonna try to blow it up just a little bit more. No, where's it at? Y'all, I have way too many tabs open. Y'all, now I've lost my tab. That's the one thing. Here we go. Okay. I think y'all can see it. So Wisconsin is gerrymandered in favor of Republicans. North Carolina is gerrymandered in favor of Republicans. Maryland is gerrymandered in favor of Democrats. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, Utah, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, and West Virginia are all gerrymandered in favor of Republicans. Illinois, California, New Jersey, and New York are gerrymandered in favor of Democrats, and they have the largest seat disparities. So it, like, on site, you know, just looking at it, it looks like, okay, the Republicans have more states that are gerrymandered in their favor. But like when the Democrats do gerrymander, they gerrymander the hell out of their states to where like they're threatening to redistrict in response to Texas, but nobody even cares because they basically squeezed out every Republican representative that they can in those states. So I mean, they can't make a difference in a way that even matters. Furthermore, if you have illegal immigrants being counted in the census for some of these states like California, New York, things of that nature, it's quite possible that that kind of makes up for these additional states that the Republicans have being gerrymandered. So we shall see. But my point is that the Democrats keep making this a big deal on the Republican side, and they do it too. And when they do it to the max. They do it to where their states are like locked blue. So I'm going to turn my attention to Yolanda Jones. And for those of y'all who don't know who Yolanda Jones is, I'm gonna pull this TikTok of her up right now. But I'll play it. This is her. Hold on. Before I play this TikTok, let me say this. I have actually met Yolanda Jones in person. I know y'all are going to be like, Mariah, you say you know everybody. I cannot help it. I cannot help it that for whatever reason, I get around, I get out, I talk to people, and I'm just in the right place at the right time. You know, it's a big, small world. But anyways, Texas State Senator Yolanda Jones is from Houston. She represents the 143rd district of Texas, which is in 147th district of Texas, which is in Houston, Texas. This is where she's from. I met her because her son went to college with me. So I used to kind of talk to him in passing. And this was around the time, this was after Trayvon Martin, around the time of Michael Brown. I remember her son had a run-in with law enforcement one night on the square when he was out with his friends, and he ended up getting arrested. Now, Jolanda Jones used to be a public defender. So she was a lawyer for a long time. She was a public defender. She was even on a reality TV show called Sisters in Law. And honestly and truly, I feel like the reason why that show got canceled was because the women on there were too classy. I think it was about law. It was boring. So nobody was really watching like that. I would not call Jolanda Jones ghetto. Like, to me, you will hear her race bait and things of that nature. But I honestly do believe she believes what she's saying. And for the most part, she does carry herself with class and sophistication. Is she a little bit masculine? Absolutely. The woman has the body of a goddess. She's a lesbian. She has the money to move out the hood. She will not move out the hood. She's one of those people that feels like she needs to stay down for the cause at all costs, you know? But at the same time, she is like, I remember when I first heard her, and this is when I was a liberal and when I was a Democrat, I was like very impressed because you can tell she worked very hard to get where she is. So I don't want to get on her and demean her because I do remember actually being in awe of her. Now I had to grow, I had to mature, my political breadth and depth had to grow, my range had to grow. I had to start looking at the world beyond race. But what I will say is, when her son got in trouble with law enforcement at our school, at our college, um, at that time, and even still to this day, I do remember that that particular police force was a hit or miss. There were some very evil and mean, corrupt cops that were on that police force in the college town, because y'all have to understand, they were working an area where there's a lot of college kids, and a lot of the police on the police force either didn't go to college or they went to the military, and they looked at the college kids as like these spoiled brats who thought they were better than everybody. So I do remember specific sets of circumstances where the police there in that town were very corrupt. But then I also remember there being a time where I actually did something where I could have went to, I didn't steal or do anything like that. I basically had an accident. I panicked. I fled the scene. I did call like not even 20 minutes later to like turn myself in, but technically speaking, I should have gotten a felony charge. And the first responding police officer in that same town felt so bad for me because I was a college student and I was like crying and breaking down, that he let me go without even writing me a ticket, so long as I agreed. And here's another thing: I didn't have a license, I didn't have insurance, it was bad. He let me go so long as I agreed to pay the people back for their bumper. And I did. Every time I got my paycheck, I made sure I paid that $1,700 balance off for the bumper on their car. So it's like, at the same time, yes, that police force did have a lot of bad apples on it. When it mattered, one of those police officers came through in the clutch for me. And for that, I will never completely bad mouth police. Honestly and truly, as many run-ins that I've had with the police because I'm just a bad driver. I honestly should have gotten way more tickets than what I got, but police have been very, very kind to me. And I'm going to get back into that. But I remember Jolanda Jones coming, and she was really upset that they arrested her son and they were going to have to fight these charges. I wasn't there. So honestly and truly, I don't know who was lying. I don't know if her son was lying or the police was lying. Honestly and truly, the truth could have been somewhere in the middle, because again, it was a hit or miss with that police force. But like, she came to tell us how to deal with the police. And back then it sounded good to me, but now that I'm like a fully mature grown adult woman who's learned a lot about life, men's ego, how people behave when they're under pressure at work. Like, she gave us terrible advice. So basically, her advice to us was to be like combative, not necessarily cuss the police out, but always keep a dash cam, which, I mean, that in itself is not bad advice. But then, like, when you start automatically talking to the police like they're your enemy, and I know my rights, and you're not supposed to do this and this, like, this was the advice that she was telling us. And because the assumption was that they were automatically not doing the right thing because we were Black or people of color. In my experience, that is never going to get you out of a bad situation with the police. It's just not. You, with the police, that is one group of people that I will say you catch more bees with honey than with vinegar. A lot of the times, especially if you're a woman and you are an attractive woman, especially, you giving that advice to people who don't need to behave that way. Like, we don't need to escalate this, we don't need to go ego for ego. Like, her giving that advice was the worst advice she could have given. And luckily, something in me told me don't ever listen to it. And then, kind of like with time and age, I just learned that if you are really apologetic, you keep yourself looking good, and you respect the police. Most of the time, if you're a pretty woman, they're not going to give you a ticket at all. You're going to walk. And when all else fails, cry. The only time that probably doesn't work is if you have a DUI or something. I don't know. I've never gotten it. If you have, like, something serious. I know how to deal with police. Just keep it cool with them. Yeah, but all of this, I know my rights, and you can't do this and you can't do that. She's trying to get us to respond to them in a way a criminal defense lawyer would respond in a courtroom. Only we're not in a courtroom in front of a judge and our peers and other people. We're at a traffic stop where it's you and this cop's ego, right? To me, it was just terrible advice to give to college students. Furthermore, the advice needs to be from the beginning first. Before I teach you how to interact with the police, then you also need to make sure that you're following the law. But that's never the advice that's given. But anyway, with that said, though, I don't want to trash talk Jolanda Jones, but I am going to have to trash talk her a little bit. But what I will say is, I respect what she has been able to accomplish, which is why I'm so confused that she continues to push this victim mindset. Because even though she grew up in the hood, and even though she sees her skin color as an impediment, and to be fair, when she was a child, it could have been a lot worse for her than somebody like me now. She has been able to overcome so many obstacles. She went from being a public defender to now sitting on the Texas state legislature. Again, she had her own reality show. Her son was on one of the Magic Mike movies. So this is not somebody who, in my opinion, is oppressed or has been unable to overcome. We all have our crosses to bear. I don't understand why she perpetually continues to push this message of oppression on Black people, especially the younger generations, instead of saying, hey, I had a lot of things that I had to overcome and I was able to do it. And her district is like over 20% white. I'm sure white people voted for her. I don't know. So y'all tell me what y'all think about this. Let me pull it up. Mhm. I know I was a little bit long-winded. My camera is dying. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling up my TikTok account. Here we go.
The energy right now. Peep game. I'm a lawyer. A part of my practice.
This is Jolanda. So she has the short blonde hair, almost the buzz cut.
Work. There is no felony in the Texas Penal Code for what he says. So respectfully, he's making up some shit. Okay? He's trying to get sound bites, and he has no legal mechanism. And if he did, subpoenas from Texas don't work in New York. So he gonna come get us how? Subpoenas in Texas don't work in Chicago. He's gonna come get us how? So let me be clear. He's putting up smoke and mirrors. And I'm hopeful that the media doesn't follow that.
So Greg Abbott threw a little bit of a fit, and he was like, y'all got till 3 p.m. to report to work or else. And the Democrats were like, or else what? And he's like, I'll arrest you. And they was like, come take it. Roll up on me.
Now he's laughing, but again, like I said, these people, in order for them to even be on the Texas state legislature, they have property and family in Texas. Their whole lives are in Texas. So this is one of those situations where the same thing that will make you laugh will make you cry. Because again, like I said previously, Greg Abbott has said he will continue to call a special session. And he said, I will continue to call this a special session every opportunity I get, and you will not be able to return to the state of Texas until 2027 or 2028. Let's be clear. As soon as they touch down in the state of Texas, I'm sure there will be Texas Rangers waiting to take them into custody. So as much of this bucking and hard talking that they're doing, they're not going to step foot in Texas. She is right, though. At this point in time, they have broken absolutely no federal laws, and this is unprecedented. But here's what I say about Democrats. Democrats are very naive people, and they underestimate their opponent all the time, and the lengths to which people will go to get their revenge once they feel like you have publicly humiliated them. They did it with Donald Trump, and look at them now. The reason why Donald Trump is even the president for his second term right now is because he got roasted at a White House Correspondents' Dinner in 2012, and it's been up and stuck ever since. And no matter what they do to that man, he continues to come out on top. Again, Greg Abbott and Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton is the Attorney General of Texas. These are two men that you don't want to play with, because when they play for keeps. And when they want their way, they have their way. So it sounds good. This is funny. This is all fun and games to them. But make no mistake, there will be consequences for this. You can get out of a lot of jams, and don't talk too much. Exactly. That would be the only advice I would be giving my clients about a traffic stop as a criminal lawyer. It was actually 2011. I was in jail. I seen that. Okay, yeah. Okay, 2011. Yeah, it's been up. That man, and then you did this to a Gemini too. Donald Trump had been on their ass ever since that dinner and has not let up.
I'm sorry, my bad. But for real. Now, just so we're all on the same page once again, all of this is happening because Greg Abbott called a special session of the legislature in order to respond to the Kerr County flooding that actually killed people. But instead of dealing with the funding for that flooding, which they already had a mechanism to do without a special legislative session, he tried to ram through a redistricting in the middle of a decade, which is unprecedented and was demanded.
What do you mean it's unprecedented? It's allowed. It's allowed. Per the Texas Constitution, it's allowed. So it doesn't even matter. And furthermore, these people who do all this talking, are you even from our state to have an opinion? Because the vast majority of Texans are Republicans, and we would love this redistricting. Texas is a Republican state. So this is what the constituents of Texas want. Maybe not in Jolanda Jones' district, but this is what the vast majority of Texans want. Furthermore, I showed y'all the map in my previous live. These districts are weirdly drawn because they're racially drawn, especially Jasmine Crockett's district. They're like, oh, we're going to put all the blacks together and they'll vote together. How racist is that?
by the Trump Department of Justice in order to pick up 5 Republican seats. And Democrats are like, nah, we're not finna be party to this. We out. The 3 p.m. deadline has passed. The Republicans in the House have locked the doors and have drawn up a resolution to issue arrest warrants for the Democrats that have left. Now, mind you, how are they doing any of this? They ain't got quorum. They don't have enough people to be doing any of this work. So they're operating illegally, trying to
Here's the thing. When you don't understand how people work, it doesn't matter. They're going to have their way. So all this, what they can't do, what we can and cannot do, this is the childish mentality that I was talking about in my previous live, where Republicans play chess while Democrats play checkers and then scream about how life should be and ought to be. This is a losing battle. This is drama over nothing. And whether they like it or not, Texas will be redistricted. Mark my words. So this is all for show. This is all showboating. This is all drama. It's all theatrics. And furthermore, that wasn't the only agenda item for the special session. They are holding up funding for flood victims.
Say that somebody else is illegal. You don't have the votes. You don't have the votes. Ha, 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 ha. And while Republicans lie and try to put together all of these different talking points around they're abandoning their work, they're abandoning the constituents.
How is that a lie? How is that a lie? Because they're trying to do these mental gymnastics and say, we are doing our job. We are fighting for our people by fleeing the state. And it's like, no, that is not a part of your job duties as outlined by the Texas State Constitution. Nowhere in the Texas State Constitution is you fleeing the state to avoid casting a vote a part of your state duties. So that is job abandonment. Texas is an at-will state. There is not one job in Texas, besides this one apparently, where you can decide that you're not going to come to work. I think it's what, we're getting to a week, or it's over a week now. And you're going to come back and think that you're going to still have a job. And you just straight up tell your boss, I'm not coming. That's your reason. I'm not coming. And I was getting into it. I'm going to show y'all a video where people were like really upset with me. This was Black people that were extremely upset with me. And they were like, I can tell you've never been a salaried employee before. Because I was like, because Jolanda Jones was complaining that they weren't getting paid. And I'm like, why should you get paid? You're not coming. You didn't show up for work. I can tell you've never been a salaried employee. I used to teach in Texas. I used to teach in Jasmine, Crocketts district, to be exact. I talked about that last live. Even as a teacher, which is a salaried employee, you can be a part of a union. You get a certain amount of day. You get 5 local days and you get 5 state days off. And you have to give a reason other than I just don't want to come to work for those days to be valid. But once you've used up your 10 days, they start docking your salaried pay. It's not just you're a salaried employee, so you can not show up to work for how long you want to and whenever you want to. That's not how it goes. I don't know about in other states, but in Texas, that's not how it goes. You can expect your check to be short. I don't know. I think there's a pathway Dems could win Texas. Impossible. And yes, it would involve immigrants. And yes, Republicans do lie. Well, fortunately, we're taking care of that problem. So no, they don't have a pathway forward to win. Absolutely not. And again, that's what I'm saying. People are worried about our state when the vast majority of Texans are conservative. They are Republican. Regardless, if you were to not gerrymander Texas at all, right? let's say you were to run like let's say in a governor's race or something like that. The amount of Republicans in Texas far outweigh the amount of Democrats in Texas. Okay, so here goes. Hold on, give me 1 second.
I'm a lawyer.
So here she goes. Now she got in trouble. I was trying to find the video, but Jolanda Jones got in trouble because she was basically comparing the gerrymandering to the Holocaust, which is crazy in my opinion. And furthermore, where is that outrage when the Democrats do it? That's what I'm saying. She wants to bring up all the instances when Republicans do it while conveniently leaving out when Democrats do it. And again, Democrats have gerrymandered so bad that they can't even squeeze out any more Republican seats. Like they don't have 5 Republican seats to squeeze out, even if they wanted to.
For 30 years. So when they sitting up there and they bumping their gums, they lying. When their lips moving, they're lying. They said we committed felonies. The Texas Penal Code covers felonies in the state of Texas.
Now, Greg Abbott didn't say that they committed felonies. What he said is they are going to investigate to see if any felonies were committed, and they are going to look and see who aided them, how they got this money to charter this private jet. Trust and believe the FBI is going to get involved in this, right? Because if you had somebody across state lines funding all of this, and they are going to be looking to see if there was any type of bribery or any dirty money involved in this. So they better tread lightly, because I guarantee you Cash Patel and them are already on it, even if they are not officially saying it. And this is what I'm trying to say. The game that they're playing here is dangerous. Her thinking that she's going to outsmart Donald Trump, the FBI, Greg Abbott, and Kim Paxton is being egotistical at its finest, because it's not happening.
There is no felony for what they're saying we did. But they saying that because they're trying to scare people, except for I ain't scared. We ain't scared. Also, when they issue subpoenas in Texas, the range is between like 150 and 200 miles. So if you at one end of Texas and it's a subpoena in the bottom end of Texas, they can't come get you. And normally federal.
Jolanda Jones, if you really believe that, go home. If you really believe that they can't come get you, then just go home. Go home and stay outside of the range in which you feel like these subpoenas have jurisdiction. Go home. She knows she can't go home. She knows they're going to be waiting for her as soon as she gets off the plane. But she has to do all of this showboating in front of y'all. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. 1 second. I accidentally clicked off the video. She has to do all this showboating and bumping her gums for social media, but she knows she can't go home.
I'm a lawyer for 30 years. So when they sit, so if you at one end of Texas and it's a subpoena in the bottom end of Texas, they can't come get you. And normally federal agencies don't get involved unless it's a federal question. This is not a federal question. They're trying to starve us. They're trying not to pay us.
Well, see, there's where you went wrong, Jolanda Jones. You said normally federal agencies don't get involved. Does this look like a normal situation to you? Does this seem like to you that you are under the same presidency of Barack Obama, or do Do you think you're under Hillary Clinton right now? Who do you think is the president right now? This is absolutely an abnormal situation that you're going through, and you're still talking about what people should be doing and what they are normally doing, right? This is absolutely not a normal situation where you have all the Democrats in one state break quorum. But here we are. So if she thinks that this situation is going to be handled like a normal circumstance, she is absolutely out of her mind. And that's why I keep saying the main problem with the Democrat Party is that they are childish. All of them, from the most educated one to the least educated one, they are very childish and they think of life in a very, very simplistic way about what they wish people would do, and that is why they continue to lose. And that's why they continue to be 10 steps behind while thinking that they're winning. Let me continue.
They don't want us to be able to pay our staffs. And they think that if they do that, then we will come back there running with our tails between their legs. Except for I'm from the hood. If you ever listen.
So basically, what she is referring to is that the Texas state legislature has said that the only way that they can get their monthly check for being a part of the state legislature is if they come get it in person. So they have stopped all direct deposits to their bank account. With that said, it was only $600 a month. So I don't even know how they were able to pay themselves, let alone a staff on $600 a month. But I don't know. Who knows? I don't know how, like, I'm sure these people have other jobs. I'm sure none of them are going to truly be starving because they are not getting an additional $600 a month. But I mean, I don't know.
In a rap, you heard of Third Ward. I'm from Third Ward. I'm from the bottom part of Third Ward, not the bougie part of Third Ward. They can't do nothing to make me scared. And while people weren't paying attention to North Carolina, in 2024, the Republicans did a racist redistricting where they cracked and packed the Black community to steal 3 seats. It is not a coincidence that in DC, Trump has a 3 Republican lead because they stole those seats. So guess what? Texas ain't about to be North Carolina in no way, shape, fashion, or form. And if they think by not paying.
Again, I said this before, I'll say it again. What is the difference? What is the difference between Republicans redistricting North Carolina and Democrats redistricting the Illinois? There's no difference. So all this, they stole seats. Y'all are both doing it. And furthermore, again, once we have this new midterm census, which I don't know if we're going to have it, but if Trump is able to have his way, y'all are going to lose more seats that you shouldn't have because illegal immigrants are getting counted on the census. So again, this is all this low. Let's talk about the other side while ignoring what we do. And I don't like it.
In us, if they think by sicking the police on us that we gonna come back there with our tails between our legs, let me be clear. Yesterday was a 60-year anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, where we used to have to pay a poll tax. We used to have to guess how many beans were in the basket.
Girl, we don't have to do that no more. We don't. Black people don't have to pay a poll tax or guess the amount of beans that are in a bag. All we have to do is show up with an ID, yet people like yourself act like we're too retarded to figure out how to get an ID before an election. So any type of laws passed to try to verify that the person who is voting is in fact who they say they are and is a United States citizen, y'all block it every opportunity that y'all get. And then you want to bring up poll taxes, literacy test, and counting beans and act like it's the equivalent of verifying who you are, when in every other government function that you have to perform, you have to show your ID. So please make that make sense. One of the most important things that you will ever do as a United States citizen is go vote. Yet every time people ask for something as simple as show your ID, y'all cry racism. And then you want to talk about cheating due to gerrymandering or redistrict. It's illegal to even ask somebody for their ID in California. It's illegal to ask for somebody for their ID while voting in California. So how are we to know that everybody voting is legally allowed to vote? Let's continue.
People were getting lynched and people were getting hosed by fire hoses, and they were getting bit, and our kids were getting bitten by dogs. We ain't going back to that. Not under my watch if I can help it.
Nobody wants to go back to that. Nobody wants to go back to that. Nobody's threatening to go back to that. They're simply trying to redistrict the state. And again, the way that at least my district in Texas was drawn, District 30, it's racist. It's completely drawn so that all the Black people vote together. How is that different from Jim Crow? How is that different from segregation? All the Blacks got to vote together. And like one person, it's crazy.
We came in, we started this laughing because I did sort of enjoy y'all's conversation. But this is serious, and we need for y'all to support us. We need, because we, again, they have cut off our money.
I am supporting you. The Texas taxpayer is supporting you. See, while you are in hiding, while you have fled the state and flood victims are unable to get their relief because you call yourself trying to fight a battle that you will in fact lose. Mark my words. Flood victims are not getting their relief and they're withholding your pay. But if you come get your paycheck, you'll still get paid out. So you're doing this all on the taxpayer's dime while complaining about not physically getting your paycheck as if you deserve one. When you are refusing to do your job. It's the sense of entitlement for me. There are plenty of Texans who, if they did the same thing that you're doing, would be out of a job like this. But we're supposed to sit up and listen to you complain as if you are the victim here? Ma'am, stop.
Have the police, so we like literally are in hiding. But you know what?
Why are you in hiding?
If you want to go to war with me,
ma'am, be so for real. First of all, why are you in hiding? You keep saying they can't do nothing to you. They can't do nothing. They can't do this. They can't do that. Why are you hiding? Furthermore, who do you think you are? Do you think that you are bigger than the program, ma'am? You better ask your friend Big Tish James over there in New York.
Right? I'm going to give you guerrilla war, okay? You're not going to know I'm coming. I'm going to be hiding. I'm not just about to walk there. And so I'm sick of this, and I miss my family. I'm a new grandmother. I miss my grandbaby. But you know what? As sad as I am not to be around my grandbaby, I know I got to do this for her. Because I need for her to live in a better world. She can go back to what Dr. King got assassinated for, Malcolm X got assassinated for, Medgar Evers got assassinated for. I got to fight for my...
They keep on. This is how they keep the Black community held hostage and beholden to Democrats. They are constantly bringing up slavery and the civil rights movement. They got to go way, way on back. Every single time. So every time we take a couple steps forward, they want to drag us back to hell. Every time we try to progress as a community, they want to drag us back to 1965. They want to drag us all the way back to 1855. They will not let Black people live slavery down. just as much as they will not let white people live slavery down. In their minds, we are forever a slave. This is what they say. Even as a black person, if you are a black person in the black community and you're trying to get ahead, you want to go to school, you want to you want to position yourself in the right places and spaces. You want to make sure that you speak in a way to where people know that you are intelligent and that you are articulate and that you know how to express yourself. When black people see you getting too far ahead, you know what they tell you? They ain't never gonna see you as anything more than a nigga. It's not even white people. White people won't even come tell you. We'll only see you as a black person, or you're still just a nigga. No, white people don't say that. It's gonna be black people every time to remind you that you ain't shit. Don't think you better than us. Don't think they accept you. And in every level in life, no matter where you go, you are going to have people that don't like you and they don't accept you. It might be because of your personality. It might be because you're smarter than them. It might be because you look better than them. It might be because you have more money than them. Heck, it might even be because of your skin color. But way more times than not, if you put forth the effort into yourself and you show up as your best self and you put in the work, you're going to get way further in life than if you tell yourself to not even try. Because guess what? My entire identity and what I accomplish in life is dependent upon whether or not white people see me as one of them. When honestly and truly, who gives a damn? You don't need all white people to like you. You just need the right people to like you. But black people hate the idea and this is not all. I'm talking about these ones who keep dragging us back into hell with these 12 years a slave pep talks. They hate the idea of you actually being free and having a liberated mind and not walking around with holding this burden of slavery in 2025.
Grandbaby, so I'm gonna have to be okay with FaceTiming her because this is real serious, y'all. It don't get more serious. It's as serious as a heart attack. I'm a lawyer for 30 years.
Okay.
So when they said
I had one more clip of hers that I wanted to show where she just really irked my nerves.
although the
Now,
Constitution
here's the thing. She's a sharp sister. That Yolanda Jones, she's nice looking, got a nice body, very well spoken. She has everything going for her. But again, she wants to live in 1960. She wants to live in 1855. She want to keep having these flashbacks of being on a plantation that she never actually worked.
wasn't designed for us. We have fought to make this country what it is for everyone. And although the Constitution
Now, we know that the Constitution was not designed with Black people in mind. Can we move on? Now, we are actually protected in the Constitution. We got the 14th Amendment. We got our citizenship. We got the right to vote. There are so many amendments in the Constitution because of us. And no, it wasn't given for free. But guess what? We weren't the only ones that fought. Plenty of white people gave their lives so that Black people could be freed from slavery. Plenty of Americans marched with Black people and opposed segregation and fought for voting rights. Plenty of white people made the ultimate sacrifice, which was with their lives, so that Black people could be free. So, this struggle for equality and equal rights has always been at its core an American struggle that we pulled together to make happen. Brown people, white people, Black people. So trying to like continue this line, this segregated thought process, do you want to be American or do you not? It's a really simple question. I need Black people to grapple with this question. Do you want to be an American or do you not want to be an American? And if you don't want to be an American, then what you need to do is be willing to forgive. And honestly and truly, you don't have anybody to forgive. All the people living, they don't need your forgiveness to continue to go on living and going about their lives. Y'all want to hold everybody that doesn't look like you hostage for things that happened 60 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. When these people weren't even born, y'all want to hold the rest of the country hostage for it. And people are tired of it, which is why the term Black fatigue is running rampant now. Because people are going to only take so much of you demeaning them in the name of slavery before they don't give a damn anymore. And when they have ran out of F's to give. And I'm going to get into that. So there were plenty of Black people who were upset with me because I was like, why should you get paid when you're not showing up to work? And of course, they resulted to ad hominem attacks, calling me stupid, calling me slow, saying I'm going against my own people. Then people were writing these think pieces. Oh, I'm a Hispanic woman that wants to be white. When newsflash, I'm not Hispanic. My mother is Black and my dad is white. Identify me however you will. I do not care. Y'all act like Black people cannot travel and speak two languages. Oh, I forgot. When Black people do try to learn another language, y'all make fun of them and say that they're trying to be something else when this is just standard procedure for everybody else around the world. I want to bring up a hierarchy of disagreement. Give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up a hierarchy of disagreement so I can show you the level at which I would say it's not even just Black people. I would say the majority of people operate in this at the bottom, at the base level of this hierarchy of disagreement. But I would say that I especially see this, I especially notice this when I am talking to Black people. Okay. Let me make myself small and make this big so that y'all can see it. So this is called Graham's hierarchy of disagreement. Shout out to Princella, the Queen Maker. I first learned about this on her channel, and I'm glad that she introduced me to this. This is kind of like a Maslow's hierarchy of need, but only for debate. So at the base level, at the very bottom, this is low IQ activities. We have name calling. It sounds something like, you are an asshat. Now, for me, simply asking, why should Jolanda Jones continue to receive a paycheck from the Texas state legislature when she is not showing up to work? I was called slow, stupid, and the B word, right? So I got plenty of those comments. Then the second level, a step above this, is called ad hominem. Attacks the characteristics of authority of the writer without addressing the substance of the argument. So what do these people do? especially these Black people that get on the shade room and they have nothing better to do than to like constantly be messy. Like I'll follow the shade room so that I can know how the news is being delivered to, you know, our community or to Black people. But like they follow the shade room because they're genuinely invested in the fights that are going on baddies. But anyways, what they do is if they see that you have made an argument that they can't refute, instead of addressing that particular comment with facts, they will go look on your Facebook or your Instagram profile and try to insult you. And several of them did that. You will see them in my stories trying to find something to say. So an ad hominem attack is attacks the characteristics or authority of the writer without addressing the substance of the argument. So you can talk about how you don't like my looks or appearance or the way that I'm living. And majority of the time, it's nobody that, well, no, all of the time, it's nobody that looks better than me. Sorry, it's just true. But like, what does that have to do with what I said? Responding to tone. So this is a third step up from the bottom here in the yellow. Criticize the tone of the writing without addressing the substance of the argument. This sounds like, I don't like how you said that. Or you could have said that in a better way. Or, okay, yeah, what does that have to do with what I said? So if I make the comment, Democrats gerrymander too, and you say you don't like the way that I said that, or I could have said that in a nicer way, that does absolutely nothing to refute what I just said. Contradiction states the opposing case with little or no supporting evidence. Okay, so if you state the opposing case without little or no supporting evidence, then, for example, what this looks like is, for example, if you say, um, Black people commit the majority of the violent crimes in the United States, and that person states the contrary, white people commit majority of the violent crimes in the United States. Okay, well, if you can't bring any statistics, you just responded to that to say the opposite, then that is a low-level argument. However, it is a higher level argument than simply name calling. That's lazy. Okay. With a contradiction, you're really making an effort to be manipulative. Then you have a counter argument. It contradicts and then backs it up with reasoning and or supporting evidence. This level, this is a third step below, right? The highest level of argument. Then actually, when people can make a counter argument, that is when I begin to think you are intelligent. Even if I don't necessarily agree with what you are saying, I know that you are not a complete retard, right? Unfortunately, out of all the at least 50 Black people that came at my neck simply because I asked, why should Jolanda Jones continue to receive a paycheck and she's not showing up to work? Maybe only one of them tried to actually make a counter argument. It was easily refutable, but like they made an effort. That's sad. The majority of people stayed at the ad hominem and name calling, but they expect respect. Okay. Refutation finds the mistake and explains why it's mistaken using quotes. So this is when you make a counter argument and then you directly refute what is saying. So you refute, you're very specific about what I said. You might quote that and you address that specific argument. Refuting and central point explicitly refutes the central point. This means not only did you make a counter argument, but you were able to show that my argument was in fact incorrect or wrong or not based in fact. But the vast majority of people can't even get here because they are too busy staying at the bottom of the hierarchy of the argument, ad hominem, and name calling. And unfortunately, in the Black community, that is sufficient enough for the majority to feel like you won the argument. If you can make a personal attack in the Black community, it is entertainment enough to where you don't actually have to prove your point. Which is why people know that every election cycle, they can get on stage and shuck and jive in front of us. And as long as we're entertained by them, we're going to the voting booth to cast a vote because it's really that easy. Some of y'all might get upset that I said that. Y'all might think, oh, that's racist. I shouldn't say stuff like that. I don't care. It is the truth. Now, on to the next story. We are going to talk about Jasmine Crockett again. And to do that, I am going to go to, hold on. I'm going to go to April Chapman's channel. So for those of y'all who do not know April Chapman, she is a conservative, and not that it really matters, but it kind of does matter because there's not that many of us and we kind of get drowned out. She is a Black woman who was a conservative. She's married. And she's very well spoken, very concise, very articulate, very classy. I truly enjoy her channel. So it has come out that Jasmine Crockett saying that she is like super, like she's a raging narcissist, that she's lazy and that she doesn't do her job, and that everything that she does is just for the cameras. And honestly and truly, I 1000% believe this to be the case. So I'm going to react to April Chapman's video. Sorry, guys.
Truly mean you're actually learning the language, right? If you had dedicated
and our sources that are. Pensaba que aprender idiomas simplemente no era para gente como yo. Y es que yo no me veía como estudiante de idiomas. Right? I mean, it's just a mess all the way around, no matter how you look at it. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Jasmine Crockett. She's what I'm calling America's next top congressional narcissist, who continues to be top of mind, right? She always in the news, but it's not for anything serious, or at least serious legislative wise.
Yeah, I never hear about any bills that she introduces or attaches her name to that like actually could do some good for the American people. Like, can you even think of like a central cause? Because I feel like if you are in the House of Representatives, you know, if you're in Congress, if I were in Congress, what I would do is pick like a signature issue, something that was really important to me, and I would put my all into that. That doesn't mean that you don't vote on other bills, but like what I want my name associated with would be one particular cause, because you can't get everything done all at once, right? That would be the way that I would go about it. And then that would be the measure of whether or not you are successful. Like, but I digress.
So today we're going to talk about why this woman has no business in Congress, and why the New York Post and the Atlantic, they have pretty much uncovered what the rest of us already knew. We already knew that Jasmine was not a serious legislator. She's a social media star, but her sparkle is about to fizz out. So let's get into this.
Yeah, I forgot you told me about her, Jamal. I actually like her a lot. I haven't heard her say anything that I disagree with yet. I mean, I would still like her even if we disagreed on certain issues. But yeah, she's awesome.
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I am your host, April Chapman, and today, y'all, we're going to be putting a spotlight on Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a.k.a. the diva from Dallas, who, according to this scathing report from the New York Post, is less of a lawmaker and more of a TikTok tyrant with a congressional paycheck. Now, the post is describing her as all diva and no wow. And I said, wow, that's a pretty funny headline. But Jasmine Crockett has a whole lot of style and flair, right? Very demonstrative. And I get it. I'm the same way. But there's absolutely no substance behind.
April, girl, I don't even see how you could compare yourself to Jasmine Crockett. You don't look like you took 2 pairs of $3.99 eyelashes from the beauty supply store and glued them on top of each other with the black hair bonding glue and carelessly stuck them to your eyelids. Okay, let's continue.
Behind her to back it up. Like she got the loud mouth, the drama, all of the social media flair. But when it comes to being a real legislator, sis is a no-show. I'm just saying. So instead of her doing her job, I don't know, representing the people and working toward real legislative change, what people actually elected her to do, she's very busy building a brand. And hear me clearly, I get that because personal brand imagery and personal brand building is very important. You always need to be thinking ahead. Congress, at least they should have term limits. It's not guaranteed. You might get primaried, you might lose your seat, and you always need to figure out, what is my pivot? What am I going to do next after this? However, in Jasmine's world, Congress is a set, and her staff, they're just there to keep the show going no matter the cost. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that, because speaking of her staff, let me tell you, y'all, they're not just working under her. These folks are out here fighting for their life, trying to survive, figuratively. I mean, they're like just surviving under her. It's a very heavy-handed overlording situation, because reportedly this woman runs her office like a personal dictatorship. I mean, throwing tantrums, refusing to communicate like a ratchet.
I can see that with all of that yelling that she does in public. I honestly feel like, okay, I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not saying that Jasmine Crockett is like unattractive. I think her attitude turns people off more than anything. But I can tell that Jasmine Crockett didn't get a lot of attention. It was never giving that she was the popular girl or one of the most beautiful girls. So she was probably one of those people who studied really hard and kept her head in the books. And again, she came from an upper middle class background. She went to a very expensive private school, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Right? But it feels like now that she's finally got the spotlight on her, she gets to cosplay as this ghetto queen, and people are like eating it up, and it's getting to her head, because this is the most anybody has ever paid attention to her in her entire life.
Things do, treating her staff like pawns in this political game, where the only thing that matters is her ego. And so we're talking about her yelling at staff, being totally unresponsive when they need her, and then showing zero regard for anyone's mental health or well-being. So what I wanted to do, I just wanted to read a few excerpts from this article that this is not good. This is not good at all. And unfortunately, I mean, everybody can't be lying. Like,
I used to work for a woman who was a narcissist like this. As a matter of fact, I see quite a few parallels between her and Jasmine Crockett. Again, she was fat most of her life. She was always, she was not always the first in terms of looks, the first woman to be picked. So she worked really hard in college. She had the gift of gab. She knew how to talk to people. Far more skillful at manipulation than Jasmine Crockett, but she was a raging narcissist, and she used to love to take credit for the hard work of others. So she wouldn't show up to work either. She wouldn't respond to staff. She had her own business, but it was just kind of like, I don't know. She just did not give a damn. And I don't think she was always like that. But eventually she let it all kind of get to her head. And she ended up losing that business. But yeah, like, I've worked for somebody exactly like this.
Everybody keeps saying the same thing about you. At some point, you got to be like, okay, it's not you, it's me, right? So according to this article, it says here that Crockett is, let me go back. It says 3 sources who have worked with or for Crockett says she's rarely present when TV cameras aren't rolling. And she terrorizes staff when she does appear. Crockett is not often found at her government-provided suite in the Longworth House office building, with one insider saying,
I wonder, for all the talking that she does, I would like to know the demographics of her staff. For her to feel like she can just come in there and talk to them however she wants to talk about them. I have like a funny image in my head. I'm not going to say it, but I wonder.
she prefers to work from her nearby luxury apartment building sometimes for weeks on end. Quote, she is laying
Didn't Trump tell y'all to get back in the office? Okay.
around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is really just indifferent to staff and will scream at them, the former aide said. Quote, she is never in the office and is very disengaged. She does her bulls that goes viral and then freaks out over the most random things. Y'all, let me be clear. This is not random. Now, granted, a lot of this has to do probably with Jasmine's personality, but if the age that is being reported about Jasmine Crockett being 44, she is absolutely perimenopausal. That woman crazy.
I will say this. For somebody who is 44, she looks a lot younger. So I give credit where credit is due. She not cracking. 44 is not old, but she doesn't look 44. I would even say that Jasmine Crockett looks like maybe she could be like 29, 30, 31, 32, nothing above 35, in my opinion. And if she were to take those ridiculous lashes and get some new wigs, she would probably look even younger.
Losing her ever-loving mind. There are hormonal things going on with Jasmine that is, she don't know what to do. She don't know where she's coming or going. On top of the fact that she's a liberal and she's in a ratchet, and then you blend that with perimenopausal hormonal imbalances, and it's a recipe.
I've said this before. I'll say this again. Liberalism attracts people with mental illnesses. Not only does it attract people with mental illnesses, it exacerbates the mental illness. It's the equivalent of letting the patients run the asylum.
For disaster. I'm telling you, I ain't telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. I am living through perimenopause, and had it not been for the Holy Spirit to restrain the foolishness that wells up in my heart. Listen, I'm just letting you know, every day I have to die to my flesh and crucify my flesh and remind my husband that we gonna get through this one way or the other, and tell my kids, I love you. I don't know who that woman was 5 minutes ago, but I love you. Your mama loves you. Okay? But
if that's what that is, I can have some compassion, because like, I haven't hit that yet, but all of us women are going to have to go through that. But like, at the same time, I think there are certain things that, for example, if I was going through perimenopause, and I know this is going to last for years and years and years, I think there are certain positions, like positions of being like a public servant in Congress. That's a really important position, because you literally have people's lives in your hands. I personally would say, I'm going to give this up for now, and I'm going to endorse somebody else, and I'm going to go take care of myself, because, you know, the constituents in my state should not have to deal with me going through this roller coaster. Like, I can't show up the way that I need to show up for you all. So it's like, I have empathy, but at the same time, if this is the case, then I don't think that she should hold that position. And not because she's perimenopausal, but because if you cannot emotionally regulate in a way to where you can effectively do your job while you're perimenopausal, and again, I don't know, this is all speculation, then you should not hold that position.
It says, a second source close to Crockett's team added, it is widely known that she's not nice to staff and is just not a really dedicated member focused on constituents. I told y'all, are y'all shocked? This is how the Iron Triangle functions. But the fact that she has several staff, former staffers, and aides, and our sources that are close to Crockett's team, everybody is saying the same thing.
People said the same thing about Kamala Harris. Again, she gave narcissistic vibes too. People said the exact same things about Kamala. And we know she wasn't really showing up like that because we barely saw sis. Y'all see, we see JD Vance everywhere.
She says she is focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, not a member of Congress, said a third source who has worked with Crockett, describing her as all diva.
¿Regresar a clases significa volver a las preguntas interminables? Asegúrate de estar siempre preparado con ChatPDF. Deja de...
No, wow. And then someone says, let me just give you this quote. So, this part is crazy. It says, when Crockett does show up for work on Capitol Hill, often to attend a committee hearing where she deploys a made-for-social media attack on Trump, she prefers to have a staff member drive her the short distance to her office in a rented car rather than the staffer's own, a cheaper option commonly used by lawmakers. The staffer is expected, here's the rules, y'all, because you know, it always comes with a set of rules. The staffer is expected to stand outside the vehicle, which has to be an Escalade or similar upscale model, and open the door for her.
Who the hell she thinks she is?
You're technically allowed to do this, but it's wildly inefficient. Instead of using the scheduler's card.
These are the same people that continue to try to keep you in the struggle Olympics. Like, ma'am, not only are you in Congress, but you ordering around drivers in an Escalade, having people open your door for you. But yet I'm supposed to be sitting up here talking about how white people are holding me down and oppressing me. I'm supposed to be mean, ugly, and bitter because white people are somehow oppressing me in 2025. Meanwhile, you are behaving like a literal slave driver, the way you treat your staff and the way that you order people around. It's so crazy, y'all. I had a friend here in Colombia. She was a Black woman. And I believe I told this story before, but I stopped being friends with her. And I ultimately told her it's because you are a raging racist. And I did not come here for that, right? So she's a Black woman. Immediately, the first time I meet her, she says, I didn't come to Colombia to be around white people. Ma'am, nobody asked you that. Like, what? You don't know me. And then even when she learned that I was biracial, you continue to always be like always make comments about white people who are like, don't even care about you, make your slick comments about biracial people. Anyway, she would go out of her way to bring up Black oppression and race every time we were with white people. You know, she just could not let them forget that she was oppressed. She wanted to remind them every time that they were her oppressors, you know? And finally, it was like, I just could not handle it. And what was so crazy about the situation is that her mom was like an Italian chef. She came from money. She had traveled all of her life. She had traveled to more countries than the average white person in America has. After she graduated college, she went and lived in Peru. Like, she had a very cultured life. And like, you are more angry and bitter towards white people than somebody like myself, who literally grew up in poverty around roaches, who went days and even weeks at times without electricity in the house, who lived in homeless shelters, who was in foster care. Like, you want to talk to somebody like me about oppression, and I'm not half as bitter and angry as you are, and you want to try to convince me that your life is hard. It's always these middle class Black people who had all the advantages in life that are always bitter, because of the simple fact that they are upset that they feel a way about their skin color. It is what it is. They care about their skin color more than anybody else. It's all self-inflicted hatred.
She rents a car every week in DC. One source said, quote, she expects her staff to drive her around while she's in the back seat. They added, calling it a power play akin to treating a staffer like an Uber driver. Y'all, listen. I'm going to tell you how a little bit of notoriety and fame and influence can go to your head if you don't have the restraint of the Holy Spirit. Y'all want to hear this funny story? So,
wait. I forgot to tell y'all. I was going somewhere with the story about the friend. It's going to make sense. Just bear with me here. So anyway, she got upset one day because she was saying that a Colombian person said that they don't like Americans. So she got upset and she told that Colombian person, "You mean you don't like white people?" To which I responded to her, "No, she said what she meant. She doesn't like Americans, you included. Like, we share a lot in common culture. When you leave the United States," y'all, my internet looks like it's about to trip. Give me a second. Okay, when you leave the United States, you realize that culturally, Black people and white people have way more in common with each other than the people that are outside of that country. Even if they are closer to your skin tone, culturally, we share a lot of similarities with white people. So she immediately gets upset. "I have nothing in common with white people." Yes, you do, which is why that woman told you to your face she doesn't like Americans, because she sees the commonalities. She knows that there's a difference between a Colombian person and all the people that come from the United States. She sees it and she doesn't like it. So yes, she was talking about you too. Well, this friend, who again is always bashing white people, talking about oppression, she, I guess her Colombian nanny, who was Afro-Colombian, was not fulfilling some of her duties. Like, she was leaving early, coming in late, not communicating about when she needed to call in. She should absolutely have been fired. But then the way that she proceeded to talk about this Black Colombian nanny, I have never heard white people talk about their help like this. Y'all, she was like, "She ought to be grateful. I'm the reason she has a passport, and I changed her life, and I did this and this and that." And I'm like, "Ma'am." And she was just going in, and I'm like, "You talk so much trash about white people, but do you hear how you sound when you are talking about a Black person who comes from a country where she is economically disadvantaged and compared to you? How quickly you take on that same language that you accuse, that same language and utter disgust and disdain that you choose to associate with white people, you actually become that thing that you claim that you hate when you perceive yourself to be of higher value than another Black person who is poorer than you and comes from a different culture than you. I just hope you see that."
So the past 12 months have been a whirlwind of a ride for me. You guys, I started YouTube 3 years ago with this channel, and then the Lord has just been gracious and caused me to grow faster than I thought I would actually grow.
Amen, sis.
Along with the YouTube growth, I get invited to a lot of events, and a lot of these events, expenses are covered. You do get a driver. They'll come pick you up from the airport. You're staying in very nice hotels. These are not things that I could ever afford to do on my own. However, you do, even if it's just a weekend of this, where someone's inviting you to speak, or you show up and all of your expenses are covered, and someone's picking you up from the airport and you're staying at a nice hotel, even if you just do that for one weekend or two.
Have you ever heard content creators say,
Oh my
comment the word
gosh.
burgers below and I'll send you over something for free? And then when you comment,
You start to get used to that. And this is how it is important to have people around you who love you enough to tell you the truth and to just humble you and to bring you down to your lowly estate. Well, I'll never forget, in this one particular
The problem is when you are genuinely a raging narcissist, like Jasmine Crockett is, you fire people that humble you, or you try to sabotage the people that humble you. So people like that keep yes men and yes men only around them. I'm pretty sure the people who are going to check Jasmine Crockett and tell her about her behavior are no longer around. That only works on people who just like at their core, genuinely at their core, they're humble.
trip. I was on business, and my husband chose to pick me up from the airport. Now, me and my husband have this very congenial, cordial, like that's my dude. You know what I'm saying? That's my dude. And it's not really a relationship where we've been together for so long. Like, I know he ain't going nowhere. He know I'm not going nowhere. So when he picked me up from the airport, we get into the parking garage, and he gets my bag, puts my bag in the car, and then he gets in the car. I'm standing outside of the car because I had just been gone for maybe a week, and I am used to the driver opening up my car door. It's car service. I'm used to.
I know he was like, girl, if you don't get your MFN behind in this car and quit playing with me.
Car service. Well, I forgot that I was home. And so Robert gets in the car. The kids get in the car. I'm standing out the car on my phone. And I'm just standing there, and I'm just like, I didn't even realize, y'all, that I was standing outside the car by myself. And so Robert is looking at me like, are you going with us? Or
Right,
you
stop
gonna stay
playing
out there? And I'm just like, oh, so y'all not gonna open the door for me? And these kids, my husband, are looking at me like,
no, ma'am, absolutely not.
Who is this Harpo? Who is this woman? And so we all laughed about it. And when I got in the car, he was like, listen, I don't know what you've been doing or what you heard, but you home now. Like,
Yeah.
It was just a very quick, friendly reminder to remind me that, ma'am, this is not how we do. You know how we do, and this is not it.
But here's the thing. As bad as we talk about like Nancy Pelosi, and as much money as she have, I'm pretty sure there are people with there's people in Congress with far more wealth than she has that don't behave that way. This is what you get when you get somebody who ain't used to nothing in that kind of position, right? I know they be looking at her like, this fool right here.
The energy, you need to keep that right out there. You are April, you are wife, you are mom, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just had to bring it down to humble me, to help me understand. And so when I read this about Jasmine Crockett, It just tell me she's just a little drunk with power, and the people in her life don't love her enough to be like, I don't. This is This is
No, April. Okay, again, you're speaking this from a perspective of somebody who is genuinely humble. I'm sure that Jasmine Crockett really doesn't have anybody around her to tell her you're doing too much. She's probably not friends with those kind of people anymore because she enjoys the power. She enjoys the attention. So much so that those friends would have to exit stage left. So again, when you're dealing with true raging narcissists, the reason why they don't stop their behavior, and y'all be like, well, we're their family and friends to tell them. No, they've had people tell them they're no longer friends with them, or their family they don't speak to anymore.
inappropriate behavior. Like, the people in her life should love her enough to tell her.
And not just that, there have been videos of several people, including Black people, who have gotten on the internet and said that the way that she behaves is inappropriate and they don't want to be represented in that way, and she does not care. The more attention she gets, the more vulgar she becomes. And I said this before. She feels like if she is as scandalous in her approach to politics as Donald Trump is, that she is going to get the same results. But what she doesn't understand is that the reason why Donald Trump has the base that he has is because not only is he quick-witted, not only does he say what he wants to say, and yeah, he'll throw out some cuss words here and there, but he actually has substance, right? He actually has substance, and he actually comes with plans, and he's actually speaking to the concerns of the people. He was actually saying, before it became popular, saying a lot of the things that the average working class American that was living in coal country wanted to say but could not say. He wasn't just getting up there ranting and raging for attention with no substance. And that is the difference here. And that is why it's not working for her in the exact same way. And this is exactly why she's about to lose her seat.
You can't treat people like this. If you want to be taken serious as a serious legislator, then first, how you treat people matters. Okay, you can't be hollering at your staff and then you spending all of this extra money to rent a high-end luxury car so that you can look the part. Like, all of this right now is giving me Tiffany Henyard energy. Tiffany Henyard is the disgraced mayor from Dothan, Illinois, who just, you couldn't tell her she wasn't the bee's knees. Same energy, different orangutan. That is what this is. Let me just read one more thing.
Well, here's the thing. It's some people that are never supposed to get any power.
It says some former
Jasmine Crockett is one of them.
Aides cited fear of retribution when declining to participate in this story. She thinks, quote, she thinks she's her own best advisor. She knows best and has this toxic staff environment, a source said. She gets rid of press people because she's like, I do all the press stuff. On one occasion described to the Post, Crockett reduced a legislative aide to tears, bellowing, do you really want to be here? And if not, you can leave. Like, who's she?
Baby, Jasmine Crockett I can't work for people like this. I can't work for people like that. Absolutely not. I would have already slapped her. Like, for real, I'm not even playing. My narcissistic boss, you know what? I'm not even going to tell that story. I'm not even going to tell that story. Thank the Lord I'm free. Okay. But I can't deal with people like that. You know, life will humble you real quick dealing with me, because ain't no way. Ain't no way. Sometimes you got to put a puss ass bitch in her place and let her know you are not what you think you are. I would not be crying in front of a woman like that. She would cry before I cried. Okay. That's why I don't look. That's why I don't work on nobody's job right now, because I don't have time for that type of foolishness. Okay. These new professional Black women are extremely egotistical. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry. And again, I've met some really sweet Black women before. They're never in these type of positions of power. They're always the one getting run over by these kind of women. Anyway, now I'm going to redirect the conversation to Black fatigue. And for those of y'all who don't know what that is, there is a term going around the internet. I guess I'm going to do it for the algorithm today. And when I cut this video up, called Black fatigue. And what does that mean? Basically, people are tired of the issue is twofold. People are tired of white guilt and Black people constantly guilting white people over slavery and making white people feel like they owe them something over slavery, or that they have to be quiet, or they have to accept blatant disrespect and racial slurs and comments about the white race being made in their face, all the while white people say nothing and Black people say, well, I can't be racist because I don't have any power. No, racism has to do with your attitudes, hatred, how you feel about somebody. In terms of whether or not you have the power to do something about how you feel, then that is when we move into what is called discrimination. So, for example, you might be an employer and you decide you don't want to hire white people because you're a racist. Now, not only are you racist, but you are practicing discrimination. So when you don't have the power to practice discrimination, because you don't have anything that anybody wants access to, that doesn't negate you from the fact that you are a racist that hates a group of people solely because of their skin color, or because you are projecting things from the past onto them. Prejudice is when you might have a preconceived notion about a group of people, or you might think something is true about them that isn't true, but you don't necessarily hate them. It's just you have a misconception, but it's not associated with strong feelings of hatred. That is the difference between a prejudice and being racist. One is malicious and with ill intent. One is just simply due to ignorance. And you're willing to fix your misconceptions upon further evidence. Okay. So a lot of white people are tired of being disrespected, being made to feel like they owe somebody something. And then furthermore, a lot of white people are just simply tired of the ghetto ratchet behaviors. And then when people point it out, then we try to make it seem like this is the conversation. Oh, well, there's bad people or ghetto people in every race. Yeah, but if we pull up the statistics of proportionality of who commits the most violent crime in the United States, it's not even close. It's Black men. I'm sorry. I did not create the reality. It is just what it is. But then on top of that, when people say things like Black people don't tip, me as a Black person living around Black people, going out with certain Black women and being completely embarrassed. This is not even just a ghetto Black women. There have been a few times in my life where I have went out with bougie Black women, and just because she was being cheap, she would write tip, get a better attitude for the waitress. And it's like, man, you asked her to do the most. This woman worked her ass off. And because you want to be cheap just because you don't want to tip, you tell this person get a better attitude. Like, I know they were so pissed. I used to be a server, and like, it's like you get two extremes. Either you get Black people that don't want to tip at all, and then you every now and then you will get those Black people who tip really well because they feel like they have to make up for the entirety of the Black race because they know the majority of their people don't tip well. Versus with other races of people, you can have it like the middle, the norm. They don't have to, they don't feel like they have to over tip. Most of the time they are gonna tip, and it's normal, and they don't feel like they have to make up for the entirety of their race that doesn't tip. Anyway, dealing with nasty attitudes. I can't tell you, like, that's why I have most of my female friends are Black, but I can't hang out with every Black woman because I like when people say the attitudes are nasty, they are. And even my Black girlfriends who I'm really close with, they say the same thing. Like, dang, I didn't realize that these women be so unpleasant and walking around with bad spirits and bad attitudes. Why are the statistics saying the opposite? Well, send it to me. I'll look it up. Okay, so I'm going to watch this video. This is on the Cartier family's page, and they were reacting to this Black pastor called Pastor Manning. I just found out about him this week. Y'all, this man is off the chain. Like, so he's apparently a pastor in New York. He sounds more like a Southern preacher. I wonder if he has Southern roots. Let's see.
We need to move beyond color. I'm not about that, but y'all raised it. If you start it, I'll end it for you. Don't start nothing, it won't be nothing. But we got a problem. Black people got a problem. Now, we can move to color blindness and always look at the man by the content of his character, never the color of his skin. I'm down for that. You get my vote. Yay and amen. I'm for that. But before we get there, we need to hear some truth. Black people and white folk. Black people got a problem. And it's a God problem. When Black people see the world, I don't care. You can train them. You can train a Black man to be a physician. You can train him to be an astrophysicist. You can train him to be a lawyer, but you can't train him to understand the world. He doesn't know. I'm telling you. There's not 2 cents worth of difference between a mass murderer. There's not 2 cents of difference between a petty thief that's locked away in prison than a Black doctor when it comes to understanding the world. Listen.
Didn't I say that? I've been preaching this message. You can have, again, I'm going back to this conversation that I was having about Jolanda Jones and the completely wrong approach that they're taking in the Texas Senate and all this shoulda, coulda, woulda, and thinking on a childish mentality, right? I have met so many Black people, especially like Black women with multiple college degrees. And because they can state like facts about particular things, or they might be well knowledge in a particular area, they do no study about people beyond that. And when I say people, I'm talking about pragmatism. I'm talking about what motivates people. I'm talking about the economy. It's like, in order for you to be a well-rounded person, not only do you need to be well knowledge in your subject matter that you're working with, but you also need to understand basic economics, right? Basic economics that don't require rocket science and mental gymnastics. Basic economics. It doesn't require you going to college for 4 years to study the economy. Basic economics. Profit motives. The laws of power. I know so many Black people who will invest in reading all these books about the Black struggle, but you won't take the time to sit down, read Robert Greene, and dissect it so that you can understand how people operate, so that you won't be out here making shoulda, coulda, woulda arguments. And that so that you can figure out how people are going to move and be 2 or 3 steps ahead of them. A lot of Black people don't understand that nobody respects victim mentality. You don't beg. You don't live for on your knees and beg and beg and beg and beg for people to give you something or to acknowledge you or to see you as an equal and then expect respect. Never in the history of humanity has that happened. It doesn't happen in your relationship with your children. It doesn't happen in your relationship with your son. It doesn't happen in a teacher-student dynamic. It doesn't exist. But Black people expect to behave this way en masse and the rest of the world to respect us, when the only thing people respect is money. That's it. People respect you shutting up, being a real big stepper, doing what you say that you're going to do, conducting yourself in a way that is respectable, and getting some money, because all money is green money. It doesn't matter if it's in a brown hand, a black hand, a white hand, or a yellow hand. Black people have yet to figure this out. We want to do everything else but stick to the basics. And you can't explain this to the vast majority. You just can't. Nor will they ever understand. So he's not lying here.
Listen.
Damn. That's crazy.
We got to deal with this. And we need to begin to acknowledge it, talk about it, ask God to help us, because only God can help Black people where they are. Black people had Africa, that big old continent over there.
And in the Bible, it talks about a reprobate mind. So when he's saying only God can help Black people, that's true, because the majority have a reprobate mind. There are so many, again, I want to talk about this specifically to my Black people with all these degrees, but you still choose to be a lapdog of the DNC. You still want to keep other Black people on the Democrat plantation. That doesn't mean you have to be a Republican. You don't have to be a Republican or a Trump supporter. But at this point, to still be on the Democrat plantation, something is wrong in your mind. Because we're in the age of information. Something is not right. I can respect you being Black. I respect the person who's Black-pilled and says voting doesn't matter over a Black person that is still going hard in behind the Democrat Party. Something is not right with you in your mind, because you have a reprobate mind. A lot of y'all think you're smart, but Albert Einstein said the greatest measure of intelligence is your ability to change. A lot of y'all have an inability to change and adapt, and you will be riding in behind the Democratic Party until your last day here on this earth, like y'all's mothers and grandmothers. A lot of y'all will get to the age of 70, 80, and still be talking about racism, white people, and hating Republicans, and Black people who vote Republican.
They never built one boat that was seaworthy. Not one. There's not one monument in Africa, in all of Africa. I know you're talking about Egypt. Egypt is not Africa.
Y'all, I don't know if y'all saw that debate between Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes. And he was basically saying the same thing that Pastor Manning is saying, that Black people didn't invent anything that was of major consequence to human society, like the wheel, for example. And she brought up Egypt, and he was like, that no, I'm talking about your ancestors. I'm talking about sub-Saharan Africans. And this is how insecure Black people in the United States are, of African descent are, of their accomplishments, that we have to tie ourselves to a civilization that racially and ethnically is not us. Those people look nothing like us, have a completely different culture than us. Those are Arabs. It's documented history as to why those people will look the way that they do. because we can't point to any examples from where our people actually are and talk about a great society that was inventing things and advancing the world. That's how insecure we are as a people. We always got to talk about Egypt, knowing damn well you ain't no Egyptian, or that you didn't descend from a line of Egyptians. Your folks are West African, boo. Sub-Saharan West African.
There are no great cities.
Then it turned into we're the Israelites. And then it turned into, matter of fact, the Indian, the Native Americans, we the Native Americans. We the real Native Americans. The story changes every like 3 or 4 years.
Were built even before the first colonization of white people coming to the shores of Africa or the slave ships. Black men built nothing. No sewer system. No house.
This is not what we're talking about. This is not what we're talking about, Jamal. We're talking about inventing things of consequences. Yes, I know Madam C.J. Walker invented the perm and the hot comb. I know that George Washington Carver invented peanut butter and ways to use peanuts. We are talking about things like the cell phone, the airplane, the car, electricity. This is a whole nother level. Nothing even close to that magnitude came out of Africa or from Black people. And it's just a fact of the matter.
Houses above one level, and none of them made out of stone. All of them made out of grass and wood. Black men, before the white man ever got to Africa, the worst thing that could ever happen to South Africa was when they gave it to Nelson Mandela and black folk. That was a great nation. Now, notwithstanding apartheid was wrong, we all know it's wrong. I'm against it. There should have been some other resolution, though, than turning it over to Nelson Mandela. Disease.
And now all the white people are leaving. What do y'all think is going to happen? I'm not one of those people who think the white person's bath water is see-through. But like, let's be very clear. All you need to do is look at the rampant corruption of all the other Black-run nations in Africa to understand what's about to happen in South Africa.
AIDS and crime is running wild in Johannesburg. They're killing one another over there. They're dying of sickness. The government is...
Look at what's happening in Haiti.
Is mismanaged. The people who ran the nation are now leaving the nation because black folk don't know how to run no nation.
Again, Jamal, the stoplight. Who invented the electricity for that stoplight to even be possible? Like, the stoplight is nowhere near on par as the airplane, electricity, cars, the internet, computers, and cell phones. It's a great invention. It makes people safer. But it's nowhere near those inventions. These inventions essentially set us on a different course, set humanity on an entire different course. Because of these inventions, we were able to industrialize more rapidly in 200 years than we ever have in known human history, right? That we know of. And that's what I'm saying. Y'all gotta be able to. I ain't even gonna get into that.
That's crazy.
They don't know how, and we need to admit it. I know you don't like it, but you need to stop shucking and jiving. We got a problem. Nigeria produces oil every year, yet the children over there are hungry and pot-bellied and walking barefoot. We got a problem. You talk about
Chat G per capita. So the question that I ask is, proportionally, which racial group of people in the United States commits the most crime? Which racial group commits the most violent crime in the United States proportionally? Let me blow this up so that you can see it. So there'll be no, confusion about it. So y'all don't think I'm just going on a racist rant here. Hopefully y'all can see this. Raw numbers, FBI 2023. According to FBI race data, white individuals account for 53.5% of violent crime arrests. Black or African American individuals account for 42.6%. Why is that a problem? Because we are only 14% of the population. We are a minority. And when I say we're a minority, it's not a situation where like 55% of the country is white and then 45% of the country is African American. No, we're a small minority in this country. No, the US population is 59% white, non-Hispanic, and I'm sorry, we're even lesser percentage of the population than what I thought, 12 to 13% Black. When adjusted for population, Black Americans are overrepresented in violent crime arrests. Example, they make up 13% of US population, but 40 to 55% of homicide, which is the worst kind of violent crime that you can commit, homicide arrest. White Americans are underrepresented relative to their share of the population. Homicide, Black individuals are responsible for 55.9% of known homicide offenses in 2019. Robbery, Black individuals are arrested for robbery at rates over 8 times higher than white individuals. And the argument is always made that, it's because the criminal justice system doesn't arrest white individuals. Now, there's always room for a slight margin of error, but come on, it's not that big of a disparity. And then y'all be trying to act like y'all go to the hood and never see these type of activities taking place. That's the thing that really blows my mind, that you can get dropped off in any hood and see, like, yep, it sounds about right. Assault and rape. These crimes show less disparity, but still higher rates per capita among Black individuals. These stats reflect arrest rates, not convictions, and do not necessarily prove inherent tendencies. Experts emphasize the influence of poverty and inequality, all the normal excuses. Now, again, when you go at the conviction rates, based on, I cannot spell. Y'all, it's these nails. Okay. Let's see what the conviction rates say. In New York State, 2019, Black individuals were convicted at approximately 3.1 times the rate of white individuals. Rarely to their share of residential population, Black persons constituted 62% of convictions, despite being a smaller share of the population. So the conviction rates are even worse. Black Americans are significantly more likely to be wrongfully convicted. They make up 53% of exonerations, despite being only about 13.6% of the US population. Well, that makes sense. If you're going to prison at a higher rate, then you're going to make up a larger percentage of the exonerations. So, like, yeah, you are going to have situations where you get the wrong guy. Black individuals were incarcerated at a rate of 901 per 100,000 compared to 181 per 100,000 for white individuals. Hispanics were at 434 per 100,000. So, like, again, if this is about race things, why aren't Hispanics convicted at just as high as a rate as Black people? If this is about white people being racist, why aren't Hispanics committing crimes or being falsely accused or being arrested at the same rates as Black people? If this is just
Zimbabwe now with Mugabe, we got a problem, black folk. And forget about Zimbabwe and South Africa, Nigeria. Look at what y'all have done in Harlem. You can't even.
Jamal, we do have a culture. The culture is rap music, degeneracy, prioritizing fun, $800 Balenciagas, and not paying for your child that's failing in these $800 Balenciagas for a tutor. We have a culture. Don't get me wrong. I love to have fun with Black people. Not super ghetto. Like if it's like a middle class bougetto atmosphere, I love to have fun with Black people. I do. But then I always have to be super selective when it comes time to actually handle business. I know the vast majority ain't built for it. So I gotta only deal with certain ones.
Hold on to Harlem. We got a problem. Black folk don't understand the world. You can get mad with me all you want. You can say what you, but you can't prove me wrong. Now, I'm not saying this because I hate black folk. I'm saying it because I love you enough to tell the truth. And the only person going to ever help us get out of the situation is going to be God. There's something wrong with the black man's mind. There's something wrong with his mind. He does not understand the world. He doesn't. I don't care if he learned medicine.
He said they don't understand the world. He don't care if he understands medicine. Wow.
And again, you will see the most college educated Black person who, when you try to break politics down in terms of basic economics, basic human motivation, it's not clicking. It's not clocking. Something is not working. Their mind automatically goes to, I'm going to spew MSNBC talking points. And then when they are presented with evidence, facts, and information contrary to those talking points that they have not heard, so they don't have a counter argument for it, they immediately go into meltdown mode. I was talking to one of my other Black conservative female friends, and she was saying like I was talking to two actually, and I talked to them at different times. She was like, girl, it's like the demons in their spirit get riled up. And I had explained to them, no, they're having a malfunction. The programming is malfunctioning. They're not prepared. So then that's when they start throwing the ad hominem attacks. Then I've seen some of the most educated Black people start threatening to fight people just because you can't articulate and refute a point that you disagree with. They malfunction. The programming can't handle it.
Astrology.
So what is she writing down?
I don't know.
She's back there writing something.
No, I'm really like the old people in the back is funny too.
Jamal,
oh my god,
both of them behind.
Hold on. And Black, this is your statement. Blacks have more than enough reason to be leftist, more than conservative, no matter how you slice it and dice it. How? Because when I think about these Democratic run, predominantly Black cities and neighborhoods, their kids can't read. The investment has gone out of the community. Crime rates are high in places like Chicago, Democratic and Black run. Your children are being slaughtered on the streets by other Black people. Meanwhile, your politicians convince you that white people are the problem, but you're supposed to support the Democrats because of why? Food stamps? Your children are being slaughtered on the streets, but that's okay as long as you get some food stamps. Then you have Democrats who are in support of illegal immigration, all the while convincing you that these illegal immigrants are coming over here and working jobs that you don't want to work, which is a complete lie, because a lot of them completely took over the trucking industry and made it hard for a lot of Black women. They will convince you to go to the voting polls and be replaced. And all the conservatives do is say, hey, let's get people that are here illegally out of the country. That way you can have a more competitive job market. Let's support the family. Let's not having people reading books about transgenderism to your children. Let's get to the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic, which I agree with, because y'all's kids can't read. Forget all the extra stuff. Your kids can't read. I was in a Democrat-run district where you have superintendents, Black Democrats, superintendents who would get on social media and talk about white racism and Greg Abbott not funding education. Meanwhile, you're funding the education for what? We're funding the education for what? Just so you can steal the money and go buy yourself a mansion? This is what was going on in these Black school districts. So what the hell do Black people have to lose? People got mad when Donald Trump said it, but it was the truth. What do you have to lose? We believe in Medicare for all, reparations, but Democrats ain't running on no reparations. That is not a major party platform. And the reason why Democrats will not touch reparations is because they know they can't win on that. White Americans nor any other group of American do not want to pay in 2024 Black people for slavery that they did not inflict, nor did we go through. Matter of fact, the vast majority of white people never even owned slaves. That would have been something to take up right after the Civil War with slave owners. The vast majority of white people could not afford a slave. And a lot of white people did not enter this country until the Gilded Age in the Second Industrial Revolution as immigrants post-slavery. So it is retarded to expect these people to support a candidate that is talking about reparations for Black people in 2025. It's not happening. It's not a winnable talking point. Medicare for all. Democrats talk about Medicare for all. But then you have people like Kamala Harris who flip-flop on her position, and she gets to be not only does she get to be vice president, she gets to run for president. So again, it's all talking points. They're not making good on any of this. Welfare benefits. What has though, again, and I'm all for people getting help when they need help. But honestly and truly, what have those welfare benefits done to progress poor Black people in a meaningful way? We keep on talking about we still oppressed. Black people been getting welfare since Franklin D. Roosevelt was in office. And still complaining about oppression. So what is the point? More investment in Black businesses. People are, you want to know how to get investment in Black businesses. I'm going to tell you. The best investments are individual Black businesses. Y'all want the government to invest in Black businesses? People don't like that. They don't like that. Investment off of the basis of race, that too is a losing argument, especially in 2025. You want to know how to get Black people, other races of people, or people with who are wealthier than us to invest in Black communities? Change your behavior. Be trustworthy. Know how to manage and run and operate a business. And I know there are plenty of Black people out here who know how to do that. But reputationally, not just amongst other groups of people, but even within Black communities, in our community, we do not like doing business with other Black people. Because a lot of times be trustworthy. Men don't trust other men that don't have wives. They don't loan money to men who don't have wives, children, and stability and things to lose. The majority of Black men don't want to get married. So other men don't trust it. It's not about racism. Men know men. You want people to invest in Black communities, they need to feel like they can open a store in your community and it's not going to get robbed or shot up every other day. Blacks tend to be anti-war and pro-Palestinian and pro-environment. The MAGA is anti-war. MAGA is MAGA. Matter of fact, the only president that was even talking about being anti-war during this last election was Donald Trump. Now, is he making good on that? No. But the Democrats were not promising y'all no wars. They didn't promise that because they knew they were intending to go. They were ready. They locked and loaded and ready. So what are you talking about? You have yet to give me any valid reasons as to why Democrats, Black people benefit more by supporting the Democrat Party. Because the fact of the matter is, Black people have been supporting the Democrat Party for a very long time now, since the 1960s, and is worse off.
Them writing stuff down.
They just sitting there.
And when I say it's worse off, I'm not saying white people are oppressing us more. I'm saying culturally, we are worse off.
Like, man, they just sitting there. Like, that's
taking notes.
crazy. Like,
This is crazy.
oh my goodness, bro.
I wonder what the crowd look like.
Oh man, me too, bro. It just, oh man. I'm not gonna lie, guys. We were arguing about this a long time after our first Nick Fuentes video. We was arguing about this probably for hours about Black people and Black nations and a lot of stuff. And people were saying I was wrong for my comments, but I wanted people to prove me wrong. Basically, what nation or what can we say that we have built community-wise to prove this point from being wrong? That's why I can't. It's just funny because I'm just laughing off the truth he's saying, brother.
And then another argument that I hear being made is like, well, what's the point? What's the point in trying to build anything? Because they bombed Tulsa, Oklahoma. Y'all will go all the way back. Again, y'all be having to go back decades and decades and decades. Y'all will reach back decades into the past and be like, because of this, we shouldn't try to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And that's not how life works. It's ups and downs in this life. It's ups and downs. Sometimes you try things and they fail. Sometimes people sabotage it. Sometimes there are stumbling blocks in your way. Sometimes you sabotage your own self. There's no shame in that. The shame is in giving up. And a lot of y'all have just given up. And your excuse is white people. White people are a convenient excuse and scapegoat for the reason why a lot of y'all are simply losers or have a loser mentality.
Into these, well, okay, tax dollars built these communities and they just gone into shits, bro. So it's just hard to argue this shit, man. But this shit's funny.
He's going pretty hard.
He's going hard as hell, bro.
Yeah.
But hey,
I'm gonna let him finish.
Yeah, this shit's so funny, bro.
I'm gonna collect my thoughts.
Now, I'm not saying this because I hate black folk. I'm saying it because I love you enough to tell the truth. Now, the only person gonna ever help us get out of the situation is gonna be God. There's something wrong with the black man's mind. There's something wrong with his mind. He does not understand the world. He doesn't. I don't care if he learned medicine. He doesn't understand the world. He can't even hold on to Harlem. When he was here, he moved out. We got to talk to the Lord. People, we got to talk to God.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone.
And black women, Shirley Chisholm, Harriet Tubman, Coretta King, one of her boys. Yeah, okay, then we got a black president. But you black women, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all gonna let that white woman
and I'm looking like, now I'm biracial. I grew up around my black side of the family. But like, how do you see yourself? You as a full black person, how do you see yourself in this woman? I knew that something was really wrong when y'all was wearing Chuck Taylors and pearls to support Kamala Harris, because this is the first black female vice president with a questionable background. Her father be calling her out. She was raised by her Indian mother. She was at one point the first Indian senator. Am I wrong? This woman used to identify as Indian. Now, because she went to Howard and pledged a sorority, you see yourself in her. When me as a biracial person, because I'm not mixed with the same things that she is, I don't even see myself in Kamala Harris. And we're like the same skin color. And I'm not like, this is a representation of me. First of all, because we don't think alike. Let's start there. But if we want to do it just on the basis of race, me as a biracial person was not sitting up going, yep, she represent me. We don't come from the same cultural background. But y'all was wearing pearls and Chuck Taylors. Okay.
You're gonna have a black president. What's wrong with you? Y'all ain't got no sense, you black women. Your men treat you like the dogs, like your dogs. They walk all over you. They make you pay the bills at home, and then the preachers pimp you in the churches and make you pay the bills. Y'all crazy black women buying these black men private jets, the tune of $50 million for a nigga to ride around in a private jet. And you talk about, look at our pastor. What's wrong with y'all women? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
He ain't telling no lies.
And what's wrong with a black man that would take that kind of money out of a poor neighborhood and buy himself a private jet? What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you?
Which is why Africa is the way that it is. Let's continue. I'm not saying that there is not corruption, thievery, and money laundering at the highest levels of government in the United States. But at the very least, they know that before we do all that, we have to at least keep society functional. We can't have our people, our citizens, walking around here with no hot water or running water. Yeah, do you have outages every now and then? Nowhere near the level in Africa. We can't have our people walking around here with no infrastructure, no electricity, basic, regular things.
Hey, I've never heard a pastor go this hard
in church.
Bro.
He said, "What's wrong with you niggas?"
Bro, this not real.
Hey, this is crazy.
This dude's in New York, bro. He's crazy.
I think he in Harlem, bro.
He is crazy.
He is
oh
upset.
my God.
You know he's running for mayor right now.
He has some stuff on his chest.
He is running for mayor right now.
He has some stuff on his chest he had to get
Oh
off.
my God, bro.
You been pissed for too long.
Wow.
Buy himself a private jet. What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, black women? What's wrong with you voting for Barack Obama? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy.
Voting on the basis of race alone is low IQ behavior as well. Oh, I want to see somebody that looks like me. Do they think like you? And I'm sure there are plenty of black people who actually did vote for Barack Obama because he was saying things that resonated with them, right? And like, I'm pretty sure actually, I feel like that was the vast majority of black people during the Obama era. But like, Kamala Harris wasn't even promising y'all anything.
Oh, wow.
Black people.
No, I'm sorry. She was promising you an additional $6,000 for having more kids, which again, only a poor person with a low IQ would bite that.
Y'all something. If you don't ever hear me
That encourages the worst of us to reproduce.
say preach again, they can kill me tomorrow. Let me tell you something. We're not going to ever get anywhere until we look into the mind of a black man. He doesn't think correctly. I don't care what he is. He can be a doctor. He can be an astrophysicist. The nigga ain't got no sense. You talk to him. You talk to a black man. He doesn't understand the world. He's never built anything.
Wow.
And obviously, like, I mean, he's being extreme, but like, obviously, this is not all, because not all. Obviously, this is not all. I would argue the ones who want to sit up and say, not all, you're included in the people that they're talking about. He's talking about, because duh, Captain Obvious.
Black people have ever done. They did it here in America under white people's help. When they were in Africa, they didn't do nothing.
Damn, wow.
Dude, it's crazy.
Wow.
Nah, bro.
He
This
was
dude's
pissed.
crazy, bro.
He had a lot to say.
I can't believe what I just watched, actually, though.
You know what
That
this
was a
reminded me
crazy
of?
video. He said they should have never gave South Africa to Nelson Mandela. Black people didn't build nothing. No statues, no monuments. Your mind don't work, brother. You don't understand the world. You don't understand the world. Don't matter if you know about medicine. You don't understand the world, nigga. We never built nothing. Damn, I built some Lego.
Damn, bro. That is bad, bro.
Yeah, he was going pretty hard.
This shit is bad, man.
He was going so hard.
My God. No, they said that this dude
black fatigue for real.
Who they say? They said that this dude makes
Black folks is tired of black folks, and the rest of America is tired of it. All of that excuse making, it's not going to work anymore. Nobody cares. Stop talking about slavery. Nobody cares. And the more y'all continue to bring it up to excuse bad behavior, the less empathetic people become towards you. The more they despise you, the more they look at you as a weak individual. I'm being honest about what it's going to take to get your respect here. Because right now, this is about basic respect. You want home loans? Earn some respect. You want people to trust you? You want people to do business with you? Earn some respect. You want people to see something in you enough to take a chance on you? Earn some respect. And unfortunately for us, continuing to support the Democratic Party, it makes you look stupid. You're better off voting for a third party candidate. Honestly and truly. Because what people see when we continue to be the lapdogs as the Democratic Party is exactly that. A trained lapdog. You're not getting anything out of the situation. Matter of fact, your communities are getting worse, but yet you continue. And again, Black people will get upset about the things that I have said today and call me all kind of names. You know, whenever you say stuff that whenever you talk bad about the Democratic Party, whenever you have a conservative take on a topic, whenever you step too far out of line, Black people will not refute the argument. They will not attack the argument with precision, facts, data, statistics, and stay on topic. What they will do is resort to the bottom of the hierarchy of disagreement. And I'm going to go back to that for those of y'all who were not here when I showed y'all this. Okay, so this is Graham's hierarchy of disagreement. I'm going to end on this. So there are 7 levels of disagreement. We can liken this pyramid to Maslow's hierarchy of need. Okay, so at the very bottom is name calling. Name calling sounds something like you are an asshat. Okay, you're weird, you're a loser, you're lame, you're a bitch, you're stupid, you're slow. These are the type of insults that you make when you cannot articulate an argument. All of this that the liberals do, you're a racist, you're a bigot. Okay, yes, but I said what I said. So can you refute the actual point that I made? Oh, no, you can't? Oh, so now you have to call me a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, a transphobe, a xenophobe. Okay. An ad hominem attacks the characteristics or authority of the writer without addressing the substance of the argument. You don't have the education. You didn't go to college. Only uneducated white people voted for Donald Trump. Can you refute the argument, though? Because if you're college educated and somebody that's not college educated makes an argument that you cannot refute, then it sounds like you're the one who has a problem on your hands. That's more of a diss towards you. It's a self-own. Responding to tone, criticizing the tone of the writing without addressing the substance of the argument. What does that look like? Well, crimes increased under the Biden-Harris administration. I don't like the way you said that. You know, you're being really condescending. What does that have to do with what I said? Contradiction states the opposing case with little or no evidence, supporting evidence. The crime rate increased under the Biden-Harris administration. Illegal immigration dramatically increased under the Biden-Harris administration. No, crime increased under the Trump administration. You just said that to be contrary. It's not true, nor can you provide any evidence of it because there's no evidence that supports that because it's not true. You just want to be contradictory. It just sounded good. Counter argument. Okay, this is when we start getting to the top of the hierarchy of disagreement. Contradicts and then backs it up with reasoning and or supporting evidence. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you have refuted the point, but your counter argument can be backed up. You are coming with statistics and data with what you're saying. I can verify what you're saying if I go look it up. It's verifiable information. Refutation finds the mistake and explains why it's mistaken using quotes. Then at the top, refuting the central point, explicitly refutes the central point. Not only have you successfully articulated a counter argument using facts, statistics, and data that can be verified, but you also disproved the point that I make. We can't get to the top of the hierarchy of disagreement when I am having a discussion with other Black people who are liberals because they are too busy trying to engage with me at stage 1 and stage 2. That's at the very bottom of the hierarchy of disagreement, which is name calling and ad hominem. It never gets past that. With that said, guys, I'm done. I've been on here for a very long time. Please hit the like button on your way out. And thank you to everybody who, if you popped in and out, you stayed with me this long. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Jamal, for the engagement. Nobody else commented? I'm sorry, Jamal. I'm just now seeing your comments. Criticism of the established Black heroes, gang and street politics. And siding with police is an absolute no-no in our culture. It depends on the situation. I have a cousin that's Black and is a police. Depends on the situation. I got to know the situation, and then I'll decide who I'll side with. Because sometimes the police are wrong, and sometimes the person that is involved with the police is wrong. It depends on the situation. Thank you so much, Jamal. Thank y'all for everybody. Y'all please hit the like button on the way out. I will see y'all next time.